escalofriante tenerte de frente, hacerte sonreír. Daría cualquier cosa por tan primorosa, por estar siempre aquí. Y entre todas esas cosas, déjame quererte, entrégate a mí. No te fallaré, contigo yo quiero envejecer. Quiero darte un beso, perder contigo mi tiempo, guardar tus secretos, cuidar tus momentos, abrazarte, esperarte, adorarte, tenerte paciencia, tu locura es mi ciencia.
When it comes to spell work, people always come to me with requests for certain spells. For me, I usually tell these clients, you need to know what your situation is and if your situation can tolerate such ritual. So today, I have designed 3 categories under which spells fall in, and maybe it can give you an idea of what it is that you're trying to do. Because again, each spell should be compatible with each situation. You can't just wake up and just say, I want to do this, and you don't know if it's what you need for your situation. So, with no further ado, let's get to our video. The first love spell I want to speak about today is the Come to Me spell. This is a spell that is universal. It's found throughout Latin America. You know, in French-speaking countries such as Haiti, you may find one called the Rale Mene Vini, or to pull and bring to me. You may hear also in Spanish-speaking countries the Vinami, and I've even heard them even make that into powders and oils. But what is this? This is ultimately designed to draw someone to you. And more than often, this is used to bring someone back who has left you. So, but in cases where you're just meeting people, this spell is also compatible. Where you just meet someone and you want a little attention, you know, drawn to yourself, you would go with a come to me, something of that sort. But of course, with all forms of working, you have to make sure that you dot all your I's and cross all your T's. But in this same family, any type of spell that you do where you're pulling someone to you falls into this category. And it doesn't really matter the name of the type of working that's done, because you can do candle workings and it falls under that category too. You can also do, it sounds very crazy. You can even do an intranquil spirit spell or use that spirit of the intranquil to draw someone to you as well. Just because we have these categories, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's fixed on a specific item or a specific title. Any type of working that you do that draws one to you, we can say it falls under a come to me. But of course, you can use different type of energies or different type of loi, different types of, spirits to accomplish your task. The next spell I want to talk about is a binding spell. Some may call it an amare, some may call it mare. Now, what is this? This is when you have 2 people bound together, right? Let's just say you're in a situation where you don't want your ex to deviate from you, or you don't want your present lover to deviate from you. This ultimately draws you guys together. Now, very oftentimes, you find that this is used to bring about marriage because it draws you guys, it spiritually binds you guys together. Now, a binding spell, its strength depends on the practitioner and how that practitioner puts that working together for you. Again, bindings can be done many ways. Bindings can be done with honey jars. Bindings can be done with strings. Bindings can be done with dolls. Ultimately, a binding spell pretty much depends on this factor of having two people. You can't have a binding spell, a traditional binding spell, without having two people. Now, a binding spell, once again, is used to keep two people together. A binding spell can also be considered as a spiritual marriage. When two people are put together, they can't be separated. And usually in these situations, you find that this is a universal law that is artificially put together. So anyone that deviates in most cases will either get punished or suffer bad consequences. So when doing binding spells, you want to be conscientious of what you're getting yourself involved in. The third and final category of love spell that I want to talk about today is the double action. Some may call it a double action or double action, right? Now, what is this? A double action spell or double action love spell is usually a spell where it's drawing a target to the person while canceling out third parties. Usually this is done when someone's trying to interfere in your relationship. Now, you're doing this, now what is it doing? In a practical level, it is causing riffraff between your target and whatever third party that's trying to intervene. So, realistically speaking, you may find that as time goes on, they begin to fight and argue and they begin to have disagreements. So without you even mentioning or saying anything, these people fall out on their own. A double action spell can also fall under the category of binding because they both keep two people together. But more than often, the difference between the two is the time frame. How long does each spell usually last? What I found was that the binding spell lasts longer. A double action most of the time will eventually fade and you're gonna have to start your ritual back up again, right? But ultimately, when you're in a situation like this, you do not want to step out because there can be bad luck that occurs, and there can also be, let's just say, consequences like arguments and fighting. So if you're in a relationship with someone and you step outside the box, what you may find is that the person that you're talking to may begin to fall out with you or dislike you for some odd apparent reason.